Stand. Here we are in the man cave. Artificial light time. I'm only going to do a quick video on this little book today, simply because I want to watch the rugby and I haven't run out of time. So I'm on a very small time schedule today. So and we are having a little drink. Let's put it over there. So I just went out to a local market town yesterday. Picked up a couple of books. This came my way, only a couple of pounds, but it does tie in with what I'm going to talk about today briefly. Military Uniforms of the World. I always like that, a bit of personal. This book belongs to Dad, 1993. And this isn't to do with the Warsaw Pact. So we'll just flip through United States. We'll go quick as we can. Very famous photograph of a guy firing the M60. US Infantryman, Korea, 1951. It's not an Osprey book, but it is along that same sort of line. So I got it because it was cheap, but also because when it comes to doing, impressions and mannequins, this is a nice way of just looking at things. US Marine First Class, Vietnam. There's obviously, you can read the titles yourself. There are obviously better books out there, but this is just an overview. That's a good one. Grenada, 1983. Britain and the Commonwealth. Australian Infantryman, Korea. British Infantryman, Korea. I found that very interesting, that one. I wouldn't have really thought about what the situation was. I know there's people out there who've done videos on it. British soldier, Kenya. This number 4 rifle. British paratrooper, Suez. British gunner, British Guiana. So they're all the trouble spots that the British Army, British forces went to. Gurkha rifleman, Borneo. And obviously on this side there's a little chapter about the whys and wherefores. New Zealand infantryman in Vietnam, 1966. Argyle and Southern. I mean, that's there's Mad Mitch, Gulf of Aden. Interesting that they're wearing the World War II gas mask still there. Can't remember the light respirator. SAS Trooper Oman, 73. So this would be great for someone setting up anything like your op banner stuff. Obviously there's channels I watch that are specifically about that. Royal Marine Commandos, Falklands, L4 Bren, like the development of the Bren, SAS Trooper, the Falklands. Blues and Royals Tank Crewman, Falklands. Western Europe. I'm not saying this is more interesting, but it's just ones that I've never really come across. Dutch Infantryman, Indonesia, 1946, the post-war colonial sort of pullouts, and this was an interesting one. I've actually read this chapter. Greek Democratic Army guerrillas. Now they were armed with all sorts of equipment. He's got a Bren. She's got an MP40, K98K. I'm not sure what that one is. I'm not sure. Might be a Gewehr. Not sure. Gewehr 98. National Greek Army soldier. I mean, I don't really know too much about the war. That was the Greek Civil War that was going on. So he's armed obviously with Thompson. Foreign Legion para captain. Indochina. Swedish Infantryman, Congo. This is where I've got something just to say, a little bit of a chitty chat. This is an interesting one. I'll take a little drink of my nice beer. I'm just having a little sip of. I know you won't be able to see it, but I've got an Austrian shirt on. Österreich. Just a cheap one, 6 quid. So this is the TAP. I'm sure it was TAP. Is it in there? Doesn't say. Does it say? The weapon. I'm sure it's TAP weapon. All Spec sent me. I have to do a video on that. I have been mucking around with it there, but adjusting it. If there's a secret, what a bugger. But yeah, you can see the get up there, the French Algerian soldier. Those boots, I believe, are being sold by one of the big military dealers at the minute, and they were quite cheap. But I wasn't in the market to be getting one. Belgian Paracommando Warrant Officer, the Congo, Belgian Army in the Congo, Portuguese Paracorporal Mozambique. It's almost a shame that they don't show the helmet that I have, the sort of medieval casque type M40 Portuguese helmet. Turkish soldier, Cyprus. French Foreign Legion, Paracorporal Colwizi, 1978. Italian Para Sergeant Major Beirut, 1982. So, like you'd never think of setting up that as a mannequin. And I mean, I probably won't, but if you did, there you go. It's all there for you. Latin America. Have I missed one out here? I hope not. If I could always go back to it. Cuban Revolutionary Soldier. Cuban soldier. So he's got a mix of like sort of Russian stuff on there. Not sure what helmet that is supposed to be. Could we look at SSH 60 possibly? Salvadorian infantryman. Well, there's a mannequin you could sort yourself out with. Argentinian Marine Corporal. Well, there's one. You know, if you were going to do a setup, a Falkland setup, you could do either side now. Sorry, my fingers. Buzo Tactico Commando. So that's obviously like a Sterling submachine gun. Is it silenced? Yep, silenced weapon. Well, weapon was popular on both sides. Africa. So is that a Galil or German 7.62 Gewehr? Algerian National Liberation Army soldier. So I'm thinking they will be fighting against the French. Unsure. Mercenary soldier of the Congo. This is something worth pondering on. So before I start, take a little drink. There has been this platform. We've all had issues with it at times, and I've been getting a lot of my comments eaten away. So if anyone follows my channel and they've commented and I've replied back and you've replied back and you haven't had a reply, it is simply because there's something happening with my channel. I've been getting a lot of comments taken down. No, they're not taken down because they haven't even got up. And I've checked my Google account and nothing seems to be explained. I've got like a little reserve channel which I use sometimes to check to see where my comments have gone. And I put one on with that one and it disappeared before it even went up. And all I was trying to do was recommend a documentary to watch. Probably shouldn't have put a link in. But if you read here, I'll try and read it for you. So it's going on about the mercenaries in the Congo. Obviously, you're seeing the other armies that were in the Congo. And there are guys like Siegfried Muller. And it says here a little bit. The motives of mercenaries were mixed. Not all fought for money. The usual contract for £100 to £180 a month was generous by 1960s standards, but payment could never be guaranteed. Not for the loot they might collect. Although these were obviously contributory factors, the majority, at least in the early stages, were former professional soldiers who knew no other occupation, misfits in the British Army, ex-legionnaires or paras from a French army suffering the traumas of the Algerian War, ex-Wehrmacht or SS men with nowhere else to go, and other ex-members of World War II elite units to whom peacetime was tediously mundane. Some were undoubtedly idealists, convinced they were defending the West against a rising tide of communism. Others, known as les offres, the horrors, were psychopaths, to whom killing was a pleasure. Perhaps the only common denominator was a pursuit of danger and excitement, which the Congo provided an ideal environment. So this is to me point. They mention a guy there called Siegfried Muller, Congo Muller. I came across his documentary. It's an hour long, and I'm not going to put a link in. I'll just tell you, type in Congo Muller if you're interested. And it's an hour long documentary interviewing him, and he's like as it says, it doesn't say he's ex Wehrmacht, and he led I think 5 commando for the mercenaries in the Congo situation, and he believed, as it says in here, they believed they were defending the West against the rising tide of communism, but in Africa, and a few other things which he had opinions which were dated, well, probably not dated for the time, but dated nowadays as we look back on them. But it was interesting how this fella, who you watch the documentary, really smiley middle-aged gentleman, but You think he's a mercenary, to stop at nothing to get their ends. Now this led me on to, I don't know how I got onto it because it's not mentioned in the. It must have been in the comments. There's another documentary called. If you type in, it's on YouTube. So I mean, if I've had my comments pulled because I mentioned this documentary, well, it's on your platform. It's been on for ages. And it's still there. If you type in Africa Blood and Guts or Africa Adido, it's an Italian film made by an Italian filmmaker from 1966. It's filmed in 63, 64, made in 1966. And it's 2 hours long. And I certainly, it's about the European withdrawal from Africa, from African countries, which I remember in the 70s it was happening, maybe not as much, but the 60s was big time for the British Empire at the start, falling apart, the Belgians, the French, you know your history. And it's in colour, and I've never seen anything like it. I can't describe it. If you don't like animal cruelty, or pictures of animals being killed, video footage of that, don't watch it. If you don't like seeing dead bodies, it is brutal, and all filmed in Technicolor. Quite why it's never come across my radar or anyone my age I've ever spoken to. I don't know whether it was banned in pictures, whether it was released in the cinemas. It starts off almost comically with the British governor of, I can't remember which African country, saying, his voice is dubbed and he sort of says, well, hello, thanks for having us, off we go. He gets on the Royal Navy vessel, goes into the harbour, fires off a few blanks, and off the Brits go into the sunset. And then it sort of goes from that to brutality. And at one point in South Africa, they're filming a load of beach beauties cavorting about in the sand, having a great time. Because at the time, if you were white in South Africa, you could have a great time. Not so if you were from another background. But it will be a great thing to watch if you were part of a debating society, because I had my own ideas of what it was about, and it would be nice to see someone else's point of view. So if you do have a chance, 2 hours of your life, 3 hours of your life, watch Congo Muller, an hour long, and Africa, Blood and Guts, Africa Adido. Yeah, very. It shows you all these fellas, and it's very. I don't know. It's worth a watch. It's worth a watch. Not for the faint-hearted. And whilst I'm on that subject, the comment I tried to comment on, someone said, is if you've got any more recommendations for documentaries, well, I have. I didn't bring the DVD down, but you won't get it on YouTube. And it's a 6-hour DVD called Shoah. And it's about the Holocaust by Claude Lanzmann. And it took years to film in the 1970s. I mean, that and the Africa Blood and Guts documentary, if you read the comments, say, oh, this was staged, that was staged. No doubt when you make a documentary, some things are staged, but Shoah, that's another not easily digested piece of film footage, but it's history. So, the good, the bad, and the ugly. So there you go. So that's my shut up, Stan. That was me. That's the point of my video today. This book was just an excuse. Biafran Soldier, 1968. I'm still going to be quarter of an hour, 20 minutes long. Nigerian Federal Army Soldier, British Sten Gun, Chadian National Soldier, 1970. I mean, no doubt these fellas, FNA, mercenary guerrilla, Angola, are using a mixture of Cold War and Western stuff, obviously. Rhodesian African Rifleman. He just looks like a serious character with that bit of kit. CeeLo Scout, Rhodesian. Patriotic Front Guerrilla. I don't know some of these more modern rifles. So anybody, Eritrean Liberation Front Guerrilla. This is why this is an interesting book. South African Infantryman. You're not going to find, well, you might find them in an Osprey Men-at-Arms. Palmash Infantryman, Palestine. Egyptian Soldier, Palestine. He looks like he's got a Lee Enfield there. Yeah, I think so, is it? Lee Enfield. He's got a Mark 5 Sten. Arab Legion Sergeant. Israeli Infantryman. Israeli Tank Commander. Egyptian Commando. 6-Day War. Jordanian Infantryman. 6-Day War. Darfur Guerrilla. Now that'd be a mannequin to set up, wouldn't it? You wouldn't need much to go with that. Certainly don't need anything lower down. Egyptian Tank Crewman. Sinai. Syrian Soldier. A lot of Soviet equipment. PLO Guerrilla. Again, a lot of Iranian Revolutionary Guard. A lot of the Eastern Bloc, Warsaw Pact countries are involved in I suppose there was wars in Africa by proxy during the 60s and 70s. Iraqi Army Corporal, Gulf War in 1980, Israeli Para Corporal. We will get the end of this book soon. Lebanese Infantryman, South Asia, a lot of the Enfields on site here. Askad Kashmir Soldier, 1950. Indian Infantry Lance Corporal, Indo-Pakistan War, 1965. There's the Enfield. Pakistani Infantry Corporal, Indo-Pakistan War. I don't know what he's got British stuff as well. Indian Army Para. Pakistani Infantryman. Mukdo Banhi Guerrilla, and I've never heard of that sort of. He's got an MG42. Oh no, it's an MG3, descendant of the MG42. Southeast Asia. Malayan Guerrilla, the Malayan Emergency. Apparently it was called the Emergency. Something to do with if it became a war, something that would affect trade, I believe. I can't remember. Something along that. There is a reason why it was called the Emergency. NVA Infantryman, Indonesian Marine. Viet Cong Guerrilla, as of the movies. Arvin, Lieutenant, or Lieutenant, like a Khmer Rouge soldier. Don't worry, we won't go to East Asia. Chinese Nationalist Infantryman. Chinese Communist Infantryman. And he's got a United Defence submachine gun, not a Tommy gun, not an Thompson. North Korean Infantryman with a ubiquitous Papashev 41. Chinese Infantryman. Not sure what the rifle is. South Korean soldier. American kit. The Soviet bloc. Now, I didn't think the Soviet bloc were in this book, actually. I didn't look all the way through. Soviet Army. Hungary, 1956. Soviet tank crewman. Czechoslovakia, 68. Mujahideen. Guerrilla, Afghanistan, 1980. Afghanistan infantryman. Soviet Army Major, Afghanistan. There wasn't much Soviet bloc there, was there? So that's it. It's just a quick, nearly 20 minutes of me talking. £2. And yeah, that's not a bad book, that, because there's definitely some unusual ones in there that I've never seen. Some disputes and little miniature wars and battles I've never heard of. So, you know, the main reason was just to maybe a bit of an excuse to say that, to apologise to anybody. If I haven't replied, you think I should have replied, because it's probably been gobbled up. I do always try to reply to everybody's comments. And if you do fancy, if you've got 9 hours of your life, you had all these documentaries together, I can highly recommend Shoah, about the Holocaust. Definitely not an easy watch, 6 hours long. You will have to buy it on DVD. I think it's about £30 odd. Africa Blood and Guts, which is on YouTube. The thumbnail will show it's like a Sergeant Major shouting. Or Africa Adido. It's a very, very brutal thing to watch, but it opened my eyes. I didn't realise that sort of thing was going on to that level in the 1960s. And Congo Muller, if you type in Congo Muller, the interview with Siegfried Muller, ex-German soldier, ex-Wehrmacht soldier, fighting in the Congo, what the mercenaries were doing. So, yeah, some history that possibly we don't always look at. So, I am now going to go and watch the rugby, because my wife will be home in exactly an hour and a half. And we all know what happens when she comes home. The fun stops, and the beer. So this is Stan, and I will see you